Are you struggling to install the latest production-level Kubernetes on Ubuntu 14? You're not alone. Many users face challenges with outdated documentation and missing files. But don't worry, today we're going to walk through the troubleshooting steps together. It's incredibly frustrating when you follow the official documentation, only to find missing files or outdated links. I totally get it. This is a common issue that many developers encounter, especially when working with evolving technologies like Kubernetes. Let's dive into the specific situation. One user followed the Kubernetes manual but couldn't find the configuration file they needed. They tried running the setup script, but it failed due to missing verification scripts. Sound familiar? If you're facing similar issues, stick around as we explore solutions. So, what could be going wrong here? It seems like the documentation might be outdated or the files have been moved in newer versions. This can lead to confusion and errors during installation. Let's break down the steps to troubleshoot this effectively. And make sure to stay with us until the end. I have a crucial tip that will help you avoid these issues in the future. You won't want to miss it. To begin resolving the user's issue with Kubernetes on Ubuntu 14, the first step is to ensure that the user has the correct version of Kubernetes. The user should clone the repository again, but this time they should check out the latest stable release. Next, the user needs to configure the cluster settings. They should navigate to the cluster directory and create or edit the configuration file. This file is essential for setting up the cluster correctly. After configuring the settings, the user should run the kubeup script. This script will initiate the Kubernetes cluster setup. It's important to monitor the output for any errors during this process. If the user encounters issues with missing files or commands, they should verify that all dependencies are installed. This includes checking for the presence of required scripts like verify kube binaries. Finally, once the cluster is up and running, the user can check the cluster status using kubectl. If they face connection issues, they should ensure that the kubeconfig file is correctly set up. Fun fact, Kubernetes was originally designed by Google, and it has grown to become one of the most popular container orchestration tools in the world. Just like any tech, it has its quirks, but that's what makes it interesting. Now let's look at the answers provided by other users. An alternative approach suggested by a user is to use kubeatom instead of kubeup.sh, as kubeup.sh has been deprecated. They recommend following the official kubeatom documentation for creating a cluster. Let's check out another perspective from a different user. An alternative solution provided by another user is to use kops, which is part of the Kubernetes project. Kops simplifies the installation and management of Kubernetes clusters. That's all for that response. Let's see what someone else had to say. An alternative approach shared by a user involves modifying the trusty kubernetes.sh script. They suggest creating a function called make_ncenter, which updates the package list and installs necessary dependencies like Git and Bison. Then, it clones the util-linux repository, configures it, and builds the ncenter tool. Here's that crucial tip I promised. Always check the official Kubernetes documentation for the latest updates and changes. This will help you avoid many common pitfalls and keep your installation smooth. And there you have it. With these troubleshooting steps, you should be well on your way to successfully installing Kubernetes on Ubuntu 14. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe for more tips and tricks. Happy coding!